All right, so get this. We're diving into the crazy world of short-term apartment rentals in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
I know just thinking about finding a place in a new city, especially one like Hong Kong, can be a bit much.
definitely.
But don't worry, by the end of this deep dive, you'll be a Hong Kong apartment hunting pro.
For sure.
We've got articles with insider tips, we'll be looking at specific neighborhoods, and even some tricks for furnishing your place without spending a fortune. Ready to unlock the secrets of living in Hong Kong.
Absolutely. What makes this deep dive super interesting is the crazy amount of different short-term rentals you can find in Hong Kong. We're talking about those fancy serviced apartments, those classic traditional flats, and even the co-living spaces that are getting super popular.
Yeah, those are pretty neat.
But before we get lost in all those choices, let's talk about the big thing everyone thinks about with Hong Kong, how much it costs to rent there.
Okay, let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Hong Kong isn't exactly known for being cheap, is it?
Not really.
It's like imagine trying to fit a family of 5 into a tiny little box and then having to pay a fortune for that box.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's kind of what it's like. The average rent for a small apartment, like 450 square feet, can easily be around 14,000 Hong Kong dollars every month.
Oof, that's a lot.
It is, but there's a reason it's so crazy. Hong Kong is super crowded, there's not a lot of space, and way more people want to live there than there are places to live.
So it's kind of like a really intense game of musical chairs.
Exactly. If you're not quick, you won't get a spot. And our sources all talk about how fast the Hong Kong rental market moves.
Yeah, they weren't kidding.
If you wait too long, you'll miss out. And the typical lease, 1 year fixed and then another year where you have some options, keeps things changing all the time.
So that flexible year, what does it actually mean?
It basically means you can break the lease after that first year, but you gotta let them know in advance, usually like 2 months ahead.
Oh, okay, so you're not totally locked in. That makes sense. But with everything happening so fast, when's the best time to actually start looking?
Picking the right time is super important in Hong Kong. Summer is usually when it's busiest, tons of expats and students come in, and that makes prices go up.
Makes sense.
So if you want to try and get a better deal, think about looking during the less busy times, like spring or fall.
So it's kind of like playing the stock market, but with apartments. Buy low, sell high, or in this case, rent low, live comfortably. But once you've figured out when you want to look, let's break down those different types of short-term rentals you'll see. First up, those serviced apartments. Imagine walking into a hotel room, but instead of just a bed and a mini fridge, you've got a whole apartment to yourself.
Yeah, they're pretty nice. Serviced apartments are definitely super convenient, just like a hotel. They come with all the furniture, cleaning service, and usually even the utilities are included.
Sounds pretty sweet.
It's perfect if you're just in Hong Kong for a short time and want things to be easy. But all that ease comes with a price tag. They can be more expensive than traditional flats, and they might not have the same charm and personality as a place where someone's actually lived.
Right, I get that.
Yeah.
So maybe not the best if you're on a tight budget,
Okay.
but definitely a good option if you just want a smooth, easy move. Then there are those more traditional flats, which sound like they have a whole different vibe.
Yeah, with traditional flats, you've got more freedom, and they often cost less.
Oh, okay.
They usually don't come with any furniture.
Oh, so you have to get all that yourself.
Yeah, so you get to roll up your sleeves and really make it your own.
I like that. It's like having a blank canvas and getting to make your Hong Kong dreams come true.
Exactly.
And while we're talking about dreams, let's talk about those cool co-living spaces that seem to be popping up everywhere. It's like adult dorm life, but way cooler. Right.
Yes. Totally. Co-living is all about being part of a community. You get your own bedroom, but you share the kitchen, living room, and even sometimes workspaces with other people. It's a great way to meet new people, especially if you're new in town and want to make some friends.
Yeah, built-in friends, I'm into it.
Oh.
Sound like a good way to beat that loneliness you can feel in a new city.
Okay, so we've looked at the main types of short-term rentals, but now comes the fun part. Picking your neighborhood. I mean, Hong Kong is such a mix of everything, from those crazy tall skyscrapers in Central to the bustling street markets in Mongkok. Where do you even start?
Choosing the right neighborhood is super important for having a good experience in Hong Kong.
For sure.
It's all about finding a place that fits your lifestyle, your budget, and just your overall vibe.
I like that.
So, for example, if you're an expat who loves that fast-paced city life, then Central might be the perfect spot for you. Central, the heart of it all. I can already picture myself sipping cocktails on a rooftop bar overlooking the city lights. But what if you want something a little different, something a little more, real?
Then Shengwan might be more your style. Imagine walking down narrow streets and there are antique shops, places selling traditional Chinese medicine, and trendy cafes making fancy coffee.
Neat.
It's a cool mix of old and new, where you can find hidden gems everywhere.
Shengwan, the land of hidden treasures. I can already see myself getting lost in those streets, finding those tiny dim sum restaurants and vintage shops full of character.
Exactly.
But what if you've got kids coming along for the adventure? Where can families find that perfect little piece of Hong Kong paradise?
Sai Kung, a lot of people call it the back garden of Hong Kong.
Cute.
It's a great spot if you're a family looking for a more relaxed vibe. Imagine walking along beaches, hiking through nature trails, and eating fresh seafood at those cute little restaurants by the water. It feels worlds away from all the craziness of the city center.
Sai Kung, where nature meets family fun. I can practically hear the kids laughing on the beach, the waves crashing on the shore, and that amazing smell of fresh seafood grilling. And if you're looking for that community feel, but maybe a bit more structured, Discovery Bay might be the place for you.
Yeah, Discovery Bay has this unique resort vibe.
Sounds fancy.
It's really focused on families. Think big parks, playgrounds everywhere, and a lot of expats live there, so it's easy to connect with other families.
Discovery Bay, the ultimate family playground. I can practically see kids riding their bikes, families having picnics, and everyone just feeling that sense of community. But let's be real for a sec. Living in Hong Kong can be expensive. Are there any neighborhoods that are a bit easier on the wallet, but still have that cool Hong Kong energy?
Oh, absolutely. Mongkok is known for its busy street markets, amazing street food, and tons of shops and things to do. It's a great spot if you're on a budget. You can find good deals on pretty much everything, from clothes and electronics to souvenirs and local crafts.
Mongkok, the ultimate bargain hunter's paradise. I can already smell the spices from the street food, hear those energetic vendors, and feel the excitement of finding that perfect thing for a steal. Wait, you said street food.
Yeah.
Now I'm hungry. Can we take a quick detour and talk about the food in Mongkok?
Of course. You can't talk about Mongkok without mentioning the street food. Imagine biting into a hot bun filled with barbecue pork, slurping up bowls of noodles, and enjoying those sweet, crispy egg waffles.
Stop, you're making me drool. Okay, back to our neighborhood tour. We've covered Central, the busy heart of it all, Shengwan, the hidden gem, Sai Kung and Discovery Bay, the family-friendly havens, and Mongkok, the budget-friendly paradise.
It's quite the mix.
But what if you're looking for that old Hong Kong feel, a neighborhood that feels full of history and tradition?
Then you gotta check out Sham Shui Po. Imagine stepping back in time, walking down streets with old shops selling everything from Chinese herbs and fabrics to vintage toys and electronics.
Wow, that sounds cool.
It's a place where you can experience the real heart of Hong Kong, away from all the touristy stuff.
Sham Shui Po, a journey into the heart of Hong Kong. I can practically hear those mahjong tiles clicking, the sounds of cleavers chopping in those old butcher shops, and the faint melodies of Cantonese opera coming from windows. It's a feast for the senses, just waiting to be explored. Okay, so let's say we've found our dream neighborhood, but now comes the hard part, actually getting that apartment. Is it as tough as everyone says it is?
Renting in Hong Kong can seem pretty intimidating at first, but if you're prepared and understand the steps, it's not too bad. First things first, you need to get your documents together. A valid ID, something that shows you have income, and a copy of your visa if you need one. Some landlords might even ask for a reference from a previous landlord.
So it's like applying for a job, but for an apartment. Makes sense. But with all that paperwork and competition, how can we eager apartment hunters actually improve our chances?
Here's the secret weapon. Real estate agents.
Ooh, tell me more.
They're like your guides in this crazy Hong Kong housing world. They know everything about the available properties, they can help you negotiate better terms, and sometimes they even know about places that aren't even listed publicly yet.
Off-market opportunities.
Exactly.
That sounds kind of sneaky. It's like having access to a secret list of amazing apartments.
Mm.
But how do these real estate agents work their magic? Do they have like a sixth sense for finding good deals?
Well, they're really good at navigating the Hong Kong real estate scene.
I bet.
They're always talking to people, going to property events, and building relationships with landlords. So they often know about places that are about to become available before anyone else, which gives their clients a big advantage. And they can help you understand all those complicated lease agreements and make sure you're getting a fair deal.
So they're like our rental guardian angels, protecting us from the dangers of the Hong Kong housing jungle. And speaking of lease agreements, what are some things we should really watch out for?
Most leases in Hong Kong are for 2 years, with that first year being fixed and the second year being flexible, like we talked about before. You also want to pay close attention to the stuff about rent increases, what happens if you need to end the lease early, and who's responsible for repairs and maintenance.
Got it.
This is another area where having a real estate agent is super helpful. They can explain all that legal mumbo jumbo and make sure you understand your rights and responsibilities as a tenant.
Okay, so it's like having a lawyer on your side, making sure you're protected in this Hong Kong real estate game. But let's be honest, one of the scariest things for most renters is that security deposit. How much can we expect to pay for that?
Typically, security deposits in Hong Kong are 2 months of rent. So, yeah, it's a big chunk of change.
2 months rent, that's like paying for a whole extra vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, deep breaths. Let's move on to something a little less stressful, utilities. Who usually takes care of those in a Hong Kong rental?
It really depends. Sometimes things like water and gas are included in the rent, but a lot of times you'll have to set up your own accounts and pay those bills separately.
Oh, okay, good to know. And what about internet? I mean, no Wi-Fi is like a deal breaker these days.
Totally. You definitely want to ask about that, whether it's included or if you have to set it up yourself.
Yeah,
Some landlords might even have certain providers they prefer you use, so it's always best to check.
got it. Utilities, check. Internet, double check. Now, let's talk about making this temporary apartment feel a bit more like home.
Okay.
But if you're on a budget and you've got a short lease, is it even worth getting furniture and stuff?
You don't need to spend a ton of money to make your place feel cozy and stylish.
I like that.
Like we mentioned before, secondhand shops and those online marketplaces are awesome for finding cheap furniture and decorations. You can find some really unique pieces that have character, often way cheaper than buying new stuff.
I love that, giving old furniture a new life. It's good for the environment and it's stylish.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the big appliances, like refrigerators and washing machines? Do those usually come with the apartment?
It really varies. Serviced apartments, yeah, they usually come with everything. But those traditional flats, sometimes you might need to bring your own appliances.
Okay, so another thing to check with the landlord or your agent before you sign on the dotted line. Communication is key. Don't be afraid to ask questions until you're absolutely sure about everything. Okay, we've covered all the practical stuff about renting, but let's not forget why we're really here to experience Hong Kong.
Exactly. Getting the apartment is just the first step. The real fun is diving into the city's culture, finding those hidden spots, and experiencing what makes Hong Kong so special.
I'm ready. So where should our listeners start their adventure?
I always tell people to start with the food. Hong Kong is a food lover's dream. It's like a mix of flavors from everywhere.
Yeah, the food is amazing.
Don't just stick to those fancy restaurants. Go explore those busy street markets. You'll find incredible food that's surprisingly affordable.
Ooh, street food. That's my weakness. I can already see myself weaving through those crowded stalls, taking in the smells of grilling meats, steaming noodles, and those fresh buns. Any dishes we absolutely have to try.
Oh, there are so many. You can't go wrong with the classics like dim sum. It's all those little steamed or fried dumplings, perfect for sharing. Then there's char siu. That's barbecued pork. It's smoky and delicious. And for something sweet, you got to try the egg waffles. Crispy on the outside, soft on the inside. They're a real Hong Kong street food icon.
Oh my gosh, I can feel my stomach growling just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, got to resist the food coma for now. Let's switch gears to something a bit more historical. What are some must-see spots that give you a taste of Hong Kong's past?
Hong Kong's history is as rich and diverse as its food.
Love that comparison.
To really step back in time, you gotta visit Man Mo Temple. It's this beautifully preserved temple dedicated to the gods of literature and war. The carvings and the incense make it a really special experience.
Man Mo Temple, a journey into Hong Kong's spiritual side. I can practically smell that incense and hear the echoes of those ancient rituals. But what if we're looking for something a little more, peaceful and calm?
Then head up to the 10,000 Buddhas Monastery.
10,000 Buddhas. Wow.
Imagine walking up this path, passing hundreds of golden Buddha statues, each one with a different expression. At the top, you'll find the monastery itself. It's like a peaceful escape from the busy city.
1,000 Buddhas, 1,000 moments of peace. I can already feel the calm washing over me as I climb that path, leaving all the city noise behind. But what if we want to really dive deep into Hong Kong's story, like really understand it?
For that, you have to go to the Hong Kong Museum of History.
Okay.
It takes you through the entire history of Hong Kong, from its early days to the modern city it is now.
That sounds cool.
You'll find amazing exhibits, artifacts, and even interactive displays that bring the past to life.
A museum that's as dynamic and exciting as Hong Kong itself. I can't wait to uncover those hidden stories and feel a deeper connection to the city. But let's not forget about Hong Kong's art scene. What should art lovers check out?
Hong Kong has become a major center for contemporary art. For a truly incredible experience, you gotta visit the M Plus Museum. It's this amazing building that houses a huge collection of visual art, design, and moving image from Hong Kong, mainland China, and all over the world.
M+C, where art meets innovation. I can already see myself wandering through those galleries, inspired by all that creativity. But what if we're looking for something a little more down to earth?
In that case, check out the streets of Sham Shui Po and Shangwan.
Oh yeah, we talked about those neighborhoods before.
They have this awesome street art scene, colorful murals that turn ordinary walls into works of art.
I love that.
It's like a giant outdoor gallery that's always changing, reflecting the city's creative energy.
Street art, the heart and soul of Hong Kong's creativity. I'm already imagining myself taking pictures of those murals, amazed by the talent and passion behind them. Speaking of passion, let's talk about my personal favorite, nature. Can we escape the concrete jungle and find some peace and quiet in Hong Kong?
You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but even though Hong Kong is a big city, it's actually really green.
Really?
More than 70% of the area is covered in country parks and nature reserves. So put on your hiking boots and get ready to discover a whole new side of Hong Kong.
Hiking in Hong Kong. Now that's an adventure I'd love to go on. I'm already picturing those stunning views, those lush trails, and maybe even spotting one of those rare barking deer. Any must-do hikes you recommend?
For an easy hike with amazing views, Dragon's Back is a classic. It's called that because the ridge looks like a dragon's spine.
Cool.
If you're up for a tougher challenge, Lion Rock Country Park has these incredible panoramic views from its peak. And if you want some coastal beauty, head to the Sai Kung Peninsula. It's full of secluded beaches and beautiful coves.
From Dragon's Backs to Lion's Peaks, Hong Kong's hiking sounds epic. Can't wait to get that fresh air and take in all that natural beauty. But let's get practical for a second. Getting around a busy city like Hong Kong can be a little scary. Is the transportation system easy to use?
Hong Kong has one of the best public transportation systems in the world.
Wow, really?
The MTR, that's the city's metro, it's like a super efficient way to get around. You can zip across the city in minutes.
The MTR, the lifeline of Hong Kong, I can already see myself gliding through those underground tunnels, connecting to all the different neighborhoods. But what about those classic double-decker trams? Those are iconic.
Oh, you can't forget about the trams.
Right.
They're a Hong Kong classic. It's a fun and kind of nostalgic way to experience the city at a slower pace. Plus, they're really cheap.
And then, of course, you've got tons of buses and ferries connecting every corner of the city. You can easily get from the busy streets of Central to the peaceful beaches of Sai Kung without needing a car. Hong Kong, the city where getting around is an adventure in itself. I can't wait to hop on a tram, ride the ferry, and figure out those bustling MTR stations like a local. But let's talk about something that's always a big concern for travelers and people living abroad. Safety. Is Hong Kong a safe city?
Hong Kong is consistently ranked as one of the safest cities in the world.
That's good to hear.
There's not much crime, and there's a strong police presence everywhere, so you can feel comfortable exploring different areas even at night without feeling worried.
That feeling of safety is priceless, especially when you're in a new place. But what about healthcare? What happens if we get sick or need to see a doctor?
Hong Kong has a fantastic healthcare system.
Okay, that's good to know.
You've got both public and private options. The public healthcare system is really affordable because the government helps pay for a lot of it. And if you prefer private care, there are tons of private hospitals and clinics that offer all sorts of specialized services.
So no matter what happens, we're covered. That's a big relief. But let's talk about something that can make or break your experience in Hong Kong, language. Do we need to be fluent in Cantonese to survive?
Not at all. You'll hear English everywhere in Hong Kong, especially in businesses and tourist areas.
Okay, shoo.
You won't have any problems communicating in English most of the time. But of course, learning a few basic Cantonese phrases is always a good idea. It shows respect for the local culture, and it can make things a little easier.
Right. Even something as simple as "nei hu" for hello or "doji" for thank you can make a difference. But what if we want to go beyond those basic phrases and really dive into the language? Any fun ways to learn Cantonese?
There are tons of options. Language schools, online courses, even apps on your phone can help you learn at your own pace.
Okay, cool.
But honestly, the best way to learn is to just talk to locals.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Start conversations, ask for directions, even try ordering your food in Cantonese. The more you use it, the better you'll get.
So it's all about embracing those language challenges and stepping out of our comfort zones. Yeah. Which is kind of what this whole Hong Kong adventure is all about, right? But wait, there's still more. We haven't even touched on things like social etiquette or those hidden cultural gems. Welcome back. We're in the final stretch of our Hong Kong apartment deep dive.
It's been quite a journey.
We've tackled the rental market, discovered hidden neighborhoods, imagined ourselves feasting on street food, and even become MTR masters, all from our armchairs.
Exactly.
But before we say goodbye to this amazing city, let's talk about something super important: how to actually live in Hong Kong, not just be a visitor passing through.
It's so easy to get caught up in all those practical things like finding an apartment, setting up utilities, figuring out transportation.
Yeah, it can be a lot.
But the real magic of Hong Kong is in its energy, its culture, its unique rhythm. You have to experience that.
I love that Hong Kong's rhythm. It's like you can feel the city's heartbeat on every street corner, in every market, in every late-night dim sum place.
Yeah.
But how do we tap into that rhythm, especially when everything feels so new and a little overwhelming at first?
One thing that really struck me from our research is this idea of slow travel, but applying it to city life. Don't try to see all of Hong Kong in one day.
Right.
Instead, start by really exploring the neighborhood where you're staying.
Okay, I like that.
Walk down those side streets, check out the local shops, just observe what people are doing in their everyday lives.
It's like becoming a local, even if it's just for a little while, and really understanding the small details of life there. So instead of rushing from one tourist spot to the next, we're taking it slow, enjoying the simple things, the sights, the smells, the sounds that make each neighborhood special. But how do we go beyond just observing and actually connect with people?
One word: markets.
Ah, markets.
Hong Kong's markets are like little worlds within the city.
I bet.
Talk to the vendors, practice your Cantonese, try those exotic fruits you've never seen before, and hey, maybe even try haggling for a better price.
Haggling. Now that's a skill I need to learn. I can already picture myself confidently negotiating the price of those lychees, that feeling of getting a good deal. But what about connecting with people outside the market? Where can we find those social spots where we can meet people who share our interests?
Hong Kong is full of social activities. Look for local meetups that focus on things you enjoy.
Okay.
Hiking, photography, cooking classes, even board games. There are groups for everything you can imagine.
So it's like finding those secret clubs of passionate people united by their love of dumplings, dim sum, or maybe even dragon boat racing.
Exactly.
But what if we stumble upon a cultural event or something and we have no idea what's going on? How do we handle those situations without feeling totally lost?
Just be curious and open-minded. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if they seem silly. People in Hong Kong are super friendly and welcoming, especially if you show that you're genuinely interested in their culture.
So it's like having a citywide cultural exchange, where every interaction is a chance to learn something new and understand this amazing place even better. But let's be real, even with the best intentions, there will be times when we feel lost, confused, maybe even a little homesick. How do we deal with those tough moments?
It's totally normal to feel that way. Moving to a new city, even if it's just temporary, is a big change. Give yourself time to adjust, to process all those new things you're experiencing, and to find your own pace within the city.
It's like finding our own personal compass in this bustling city, guiding us toward the experiences that truly resonate with us. And speaking of things that resonate, let's talk about food again. We've already mentioned those amazing street markets, but what about those hidden culinary gems? Those hole-in-the-wall restaurants that only locals seem to know about. How do we find those?
That's where going off the beaten path really pays off. Explore those side streets, look for restaurants with menus written by hand in Chinese, and don't be afraid to go inside, even if you don't recognize any of the dishes. Sometimes the best food adventures are the ones you least expect.
I love the idea of just letting our taste buds guide us on a culinary treasure hunt through Hong Kong. But what if we have dietary restrictions or allergies? How do we handle that in a city where food is such a big part of the culture?
A lot of restaurants in Hong Kong are really good about accommodating different dietary needs, especially if you're clear about it and let them know ahead of time. Don't hesitate to ask about ingredients, how the food is prepared, and anything you're allergic to. You can even learn a few Cantonese phrases related to your dietary needs. It shows respect and makes communication easier.
So it's about being prepared, being respectful, and being open to trying new things, even if it means stepping outside our comfort zones. But beyond just the practicalities of eating, there's something really special about sharing a meal with others, whether it's a dim sum brunch with new friends or a family dinner in our little Hong Kong apartment.
Uh,
How do we create those moments of connection and belonging when we're not in our permanent home?
Inviting people into your space, even if it's just a small rental, is a great way to build community and make it feel like home. Host a potluck, invite your neighbors over for tea, or just have a few friends over for a movie night. Those shared experiences, no matter how small, can create memories that last and turn a temporary place into a real home.
It's about creating those moments of warmth and connection, those times filled with laughter and stories that go beyond language barriers and cultural differences. So as we wrap up our Hong Kong apartment adventure, what's the one piece of advice you want our listeners to take with them?
Remember that your time in Hong Kong, whether it's a few weeks or a few months, is precious. Embrace the unexpected, the challenges, the excitement. Let this city's energy, diversity, and spirit change you. And most importantly, take those lessons you learn, the memories you make, and the connections you form back home with you. Make them part of your life.
That's beautiful. It's not just about finding an apartment in Hong Kong. It's about finding a part of ourselves in this incredible city. So as we say goodbye to Hong Kong, let's keep that spirit with us, its resilience, its vibrancy, and that amazing belief in connecting with people.
And who knows, this might just be the beginning of your Hong Kong story. Maybe one day you'll come back not as a visitor, but as someone who knows the city, ready to help others on their own Hong Kong adventures.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into short-term apartment rentals in Hong Kong. We hope we've given you the information, the inspiration, and maybe even a little bit of that travel bug to start your own urban adventure.
Remember, Hong Kong is a city that loves curiosity, openness, and those who are willing to step outside their comfort zone. So go explore, connect, and create your own unique Hong Kong story.
And until next time, happy exploring.